Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 266 based on novel. So let's start. Hong Alliance? Luo Feng looked at the screen and frowned. According to this, the rarest and most valuable items in humanity are normally dealt within the Hong Alliance. These treasures are only circulated within the large number of powerful warriors in this alliance, and only they can give a true high price. However, I've not been invited into the alliance. After thinking for a while, he immediately contacted his teacher Tru Yang. A gold-armored ape appeared in the screen. It was Tru Yang. His eyes were like lightning as they looked at Luo Feng. He laughed and said, "My dear disciple, why have you contacted me?" "Teacher?" Luo Feng said respectfully, "I have a favor to ask of you." "Speak." Tru Yang smiled. "It's like this." Luo Feng swiftly said, "I acquired some valuable items in the Outer Region Wars, however I don't wish to simply sell them to the virtual universe company's buying department. I want to get your help, to help me sell them to the Hong Alliance." Tru Yang frowned, "Sending to the Hong Alliance to sell?" Luo Feng nodded. "The Hong Alliance isn't ordinary at all," Tru Yang warned. "They are a huge alliance formed mainly by humans with other powerful warriors from other races. One has to at least be emperor level to become a member. Even for the staff position, many warriors are fighting to send their sector lords and undyings. There. Countless powerful warriors are gathered within. Deals are a normal thing. I, Tru Yang, do indeed know many warriors within. It's not that I can't help you, I only have one request, and that is that it has to be valuable. Otherwise, I'd simply lose my reputation." Tru Yang said. "What is considered a treasure?" Luo Feng asked. "Worth at least 1 billion mixed elements and up," he replied. "If it's not even worth that much, don't make me lose my face." "Teacher, this is the detailed information about my goods, I'll send it to you." Luo Feng sent a mail. "These goods, the buying department of the company offered me 4.6 billion mixed elements." 4.6 billion? Tru Yang was shocked, staring hard at his disciple. "The company will definitely give you the lowest price possible, yet that alone is worth 4.6 billion. My disciple, just who did you steal from, earning the wealth of an emperor like that?" Luo Feng smiled. Tru Yang began to look through the information. An automaton knight created this special weapon? This is worth a lot." Tru Yang nodded. "My disciple, leave it to me, I will sell it at a high price." Ha, I was wise to have you as my student. Your treasure earning ability is 3 times that of your third senior." Luo Feng smiled. "The fastest this would take is half a day, slowest 3 to 5 days, just wait for my call." Tru Yang disconnected and went to carry out the favor. Actually, dealing in such big deals did give one a sense of achievement. Tru Yang had spent countless years in Primal Chaos City, he hardly ever had such dealings. He was happy to actually work with such a deal with the Hong Alliance, going through his connections to get a high price. Luo Feng currently had 2 teachers, Tru Yang and the Primal Chaos City leader. Luo Feng had spent a long time with Tru Yang. Since Tru Yang's character was straightforward, Luo Feng always felt relaxed and friendly with him. With the city leader, however, he felt extreme pressure, he had to always maintain full respect. Hence, for certain matters, Luo Feng would rather look for Tru Yang rather than bother the city leader. Unless it was a huge matter, he didn't dare disturb the leader. Slowest would be 3 to 5 days? Luo Feng sat before his desk and gently tapped the screen. "Then I shall do some studying on scanners." Detailed information and numbers appeared. SFRET 01-102983, scanning area of 1 billion km in diameter. It requires 5 million points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. SFRET 01-102983, scanning area 300 million kilometers in diameter. Requires 4 million points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. STU 01-000001, scanning area 1 billion km in diameter. Requires 50 billion points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. STU 02-000001, scanning area of 300 million kilometers in diameter. Requires 40 billion points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. A 111-192039, scanning area 100 kilometers in diameter. Requires 1 million points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. A 112-192039, scanning area 20 kilometers in diameter. Requires 800,000 points, lowest discount 5%, highest 10%, you get 6%. The scanners were mostly separated into two kinds. One was with large areas, normally about 100 million kilometers, 300 million kilometers and 1 billion kilometers in diameter. The better it was, the more area one would be able to see, like the 300 million and 1 billion kilometers types. The other type was the small area, normally with diameters of 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and 100 kilometers. The higher ones were 20 kilometers and 100 kilometers. The large ones could scan ships from far, it was easier to set up. The small ones were normally for universe secret regions, it scanned small areas extremely well. As its area was small, it could do a higher level scan. Luo Feng continued to read through the information. The many high-level scanners were usually not available even to Primal Region members. Luo Feng, however, was able to see everything, but he couldn't even afford them. When he saw they required 10 billion points or even 100 billion, he could only stare wide-eyed. Absurd prices. Even with my discount, I still can't afford it. Luo Feng pondered, what grade should I buy this time? 10 million points level? Over 100 million points level? Billion points? Back when he bought his scanner in Primal Chaos City, he had no experience whatsoever. He purely looked at some information about scanners used in the Outer Region Wars and bought one. However, having been here for over 1,000 years and suffered some losses, he knew exactly what he needed. I'm too stupid. There's no need to have a 1 billion kilometer diameter scanner. I just need a 300 million kilometer area. I'll also buy a specialized small area scanner, it'll serve me better when I am closer. The two scanners would complement each other when both were used. For the large area, I have two choices. One of them is for 2 billion points, the higher level one is 6 billion points. As for the small one, I'll have to spend quite a bit too. He thought. Let's see how much teacher can bring in from my goods. Luo Feng had many things he wanted to buy. The most pressing being the scanner, he also wanted to nurture the cloud contact vine and other items. However, they all needed money. Couture. Young. A black-armored Luo Feng with black wings on his back lifted his wine glass with the green-armored and furry man. Young, how are your rewards? Couture asked. Normal, you should know too, that official level undyings all have undying bodies, killing every one of them is extremely hard. Luo Feng lifted his glass. I only killed about 100 officials over the last 1,000 years. All of them were mostly low officials while there were very few high officials, and that is still lucky. The points take too long to accumulate. It's very hard to kill undying bodies. The furry man put down his glass angrily, shaking his head. I'm also at Emperor level, the pinnacle officials are obviously weaker than me and yet I cannot do anything about them. Killing 100 officials over 1,000 years is not bad already. It's even better than me, right? Where are you situated? Yangji continent. Luo Feng replied. Yangji continent? Couture stared, you are already Emperor level, yet you are still there. You can come to Star Tower already, I'm right there. The most dangerous place in the 7th battlefield? Luo Feng smiled. There were several extremely dangerous places in the 7th battlefield, the closest from the 26th camp was Star Tower. Even though it's dangerous, it's full of encounters. Couture advised, whenever you head over, let's work together. 3 voices resounded and 3 silhouettes walked over, the formless pressure they emanated was terrifying. Even though the restaurant was huge, the other normal undyings and officials all naturally stayed away from this region because the undyings here were all emperors. Ha! Couture waved his hand and said to Luo Feng, these 3 are my comrades in Star Tower. I've explored the areas with them, let me introduce you. Luo Feng nodded. Come, I'll introduce you all to my new friend Yang. Couture shouted to the 3 emperors. Luo Feng waited patiently within the 26th camp for his teacher's answer while making friends with the emperors within. On the 3rd day, True Yang finally contacted Luo Feng. At dawn, mist engulfed the river. On an island within, Luo Feng lay within the hot springs and was relaxing his body when True Yang suddenly contacted him. Hurry over to my palace on Lightning Island. Yes, teacher. Virtual Universe Lightning Island, countless undyings within the Virtual Universe Company stayed here. True Yang's palace was one of them. Your Majesty, his lord is within. A guide showed Luo Feng the way. My disciple, hurry in. True Yang's voice boomed from within. Luo Feng immediately entered. With a glance, 3 warriors were sitting around a table within. One of them was True Yang, another had feathered wings and gold eyes, while the last one was a huge silhouette, almost like black mud. Teacher? Luo Feng shouted respectfully as he entered. Ha ha. True Yang smiled, let me introduce you. These are other race warriors. This is Desire Emperor and this is Black Heart Emperor. True Yang pointed at the feathered warrior and then the black mud-like warrior. All of them wore a smile, of which the feathered warrior Desire Emperor smiled and said, this is your disciple True Yang, and the disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader. True Yang, you don't have to introduce him, his reputation is quite widespread. The black mud-like warrior nodded. Disciple, sit. True Yang pointed at the chair beside. Yes. Luo Feng sat down. I've already arranged everything for you. True Yang explained, the great puppet and the 1.53 million puppets will all go to Desire Emperor. That apparatus will go to Black Heart Emperor. The prices have been set. Desire Emperor is willing to give you 1.8 billion mixed elements. Black Heart Emperor is willing to give you 4.3 billion. Luo Feng nodded within. The automaton puppets were easily accessible to such powerful warriors. The Virtual Universe Company was willing to give him 1.5 billion, the highest it could go would probably be about 2 billion. Hence, 1.8 billion was already very high. The puppets were after all common items. The 9 Absolute God Country apparatus however was a rare item. Although it wasn't worth much to people uninterested in the automaton weapons, to the collectors however, it was a true treasure. They could dissect it and carefully analyze it, studying their methods. Luo Feng. Black Heart Emperor said, do you know anything about this apparatus? This is one portion of the device used to set up the 9 Absolute God Country. Luo Feng immediately explained. When set up, even a pinnacle emperor would be trapped within, and combined with the special automaton puppets within, it can unleash several special attacks. Its power is absolute. Black Heart Emperor's eyes gleamed, nodding as he smiled. Trap? Attacks? Let's immediately begin the exchange then. All right. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng discussed with the 2 emperors and swiftly confirmed their method of exchange, using the Virtual Universe Company as the middleman to deliver the goods and confirm the exchange. The commission for such a deal would usually have a high of 1,000 mixed elements max, lowest being 1 mixed element. For such a deal, as both Black Heart Emperor and Desire Emperor were both outside humanity's territories, both deals were charged 100 mixed elements as commission. Compared to the deal involving 6.1 billion mixed elements, this was nothing. After the deal was settled, both emperors were interested in getting along with the Primal Chaos City leader's disciple. They were after all races subservient to humanity. Even as generals for humanity, they mostly used mixed elements as their currency. Since humanity has such a large influence on them, being such as the city leader was looked up to and worshipped by them too. It was a pleasure for them to talk to Luo Feng. They chatted and ate. During the banquet, a team from the company in reality went to collect the goods from Luo Feng. The goods were confirmed. Black Heart Emperor and Desire Emperor naturally transferred the funds. After the banquet, Desire Emperor suddenly stood up as he was discussing his experiences in the secret region. What's the matter? Black Heart Emperor and True Yang both looked at him shocked. Luo Feng was curious too. The Hong Alliance has opened a Blood River Crystal auction. It will begin immediately. Desire Emperor said softly, his eyes suppressing his excitement. Blood River Crystal auction? The other 2 emperors were shocked. We'll see if I can get any this time. Desire Emperor's eyes were filled with anticipation, after which he smiled. True Yang, you are already Pinnacle Emperor, almost akin to a knight, don't fight with us for the crystals. Blood River crystals are effective even for knights, why shouldn't I fight for them? True Yang mocked. Bring it. Anyway, there will be many others. Desire Emperor shook his head, let's go participate in the auction. You 2 go on ahead. True Yang said. Luo Feng, we'll be leaving first. The 2 emperors said their goodbyes and rushed off, vanishing from the hall. Only True Yang and Luo Feng were left behind. Teacher, what's with the auction for Blood River crystals? I remember they are banned items, banned from deals, auctions, etc. Luo Feng asked. Ah, right, you've been to Blood River Continent. Tru Yang smiled and nodded. You must remember one thing, anything that is banned is all only relative. Even the most valuable items, they may be banned for sector lords, but the Undyings can still make deals. If they are banned for Undyings, the Knights may still exchange them freely. The term ban is only relative to different levels. Ah? Luo Feng nodded. Right. It was as such. Hong Alliance is an alliance led by humans with many other races. Naturally many valuable items will appear. Tru Yang said. The Blood River crystals? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. Absorbing them was extremely hard. A human absorbing 10 crystals was already unbelievable. What would be the benefit of auctioning them? Why are even the Knights fighting for the crystals? Luo Feng asked. Absorbing them is extremely hard. Of course it's hard. At Sector Lord level, the body's genetics are evolved to its limit. A human absorbing 10 crystals is already unbelievable. Tru Yang laughed loudly. However, the crystals, these are condensed crystals of the beast god's essence, they are crystals of its blood. The beast god is a being akin to a knight, and as a powerful natural beast of the universe, with gold and space infused within its body, the crystals wonders. Do you think there'd simply be just one way to absorb them? Luo Feng was stunned. So that was it, the crystals were essences, condensed blood of the beast god? The crystals have many uses, with huge benefits even to the knights. Tru Yang nodded. However, humanity's upper echelon has a strict control on these important items, usually only supplying them to the strongest. Hence very rarely would there be a few Blood River crystals circulating to be auctioned. These crystals are important treasures to any blood and flesh life form. Every 100 crystals form a unit, because 100 of them can form one drop of the beast god's blood. Tru Yang said. However, I'm currently at the Emperor Pinnacle level. What I lack is the lore comprehension. External treasures are useless to me. Hence, I won't bother fighting for them. Tru Yang smiled. When I become a knight, I'd probably have to go fight for some too. Haha, the Blood River crystal auctions normally attract many powerful warriors. I'll head over just to join in the fun. You should return. Luo Feng replied, yes teacher. Tru Yang vanished from the hall. Blood River crystal? 100 of them can be condensed into one drop of the beast god's blood? Luo Feng muttered. A true treasure to any flesh and blood life form, one that even knights will fight for. Damn. Back then, the Virtual Universe Company gave us universe-level punks a low price of 600 points for one crystal. Luo Feng smiled weirdly. Shaking his head, seems right, we were simply universe-level punks, they needn't give us too high a price. To them, they already gave us a chance to acquire the crystals. How would the little punks know that these crystals were incredibly important treasures to the emperors and knights? Luo Feng vanished too. 100 crystals could be condensed into a drop of the beast god's blood, and it was hard for the universe-level geniuses to acquire even a few of them. Luo Feng, who was supposed to be a universe level, had a powerful domain lord clone proficient in assassination, the Mosha body. This was too rare. And back then, he had used the Mosha body to steal close to 10,000 crystals. Back then, facing the 600 points per crystal price, he fought hard against his desire for more points. He was sure that these crystals were true treasures and that he shouldn't sell them. Haha, I never would have expected the uses and benefits of the crystals would be that important in the future. Luo Feng walked out of the hot springs. The water flowed off his body, the chill from the air made him comfortable. He casually lay in a chair. The more he thought of it, the happier he got. He was wise to keep all the crystals, this was a fortune. Right. Back then my universe-level human body only absorbed 3 crystals. Now that I'm Sector Lord Pinnacle, and I'm trained in the Nameless Manual, my cells have evolved. Luo Feng thought. It's time to try absorbing the crystals again. It had been many years since he last tried. As it was too hard to simply absorb the 3 crystals last time, with the Black Warrior, even a being, a legend within the history of Blood River Continent, he always thought he would never reach 10 crystals. And without reaching 10 crystals, the rise in his power would be limited. Hence, he never gave it another shot. Just like that, a few thousand years had passed. Within the room, Luo Feng sat cross-legged. Absorbing a new crystal always gets increasingly difficult. However, my body is much stronger than before, who knows how many I can absorb now. Luo Feng wasn't confident in absorbing 10 Blood River crystals simply because the Black Warrior was but a legend in Blood River continent. From his absorption back then, his genetic makeup was much stronger now, even with the Nameless Manual. However, that was only the first level. It was still extremely hard to become a Black Warrior. Let's begin. He flipped his hand and brandished one Blood River crystal. It was a triangular crystal that was completely blood red and translucent. It gave off energy ripples that were almost like a heartbeat. Back then when I first saw a crystal, I thought it was like a life form. But now I know that it's the blood crystals from the fallen beast god. Luo Feng slashed his palm and allowed the crystal to make contact with the bleeding wound. The killing intent permeated his skin and his body changed. He was familiar with this feeling. For someone that had absorbed over 100 crystals, this level of pain was nothing. After a while, the fourth crystal was completely absorbed. Luo Feng was very calm, absorbing up to 5 or 6 crystals was within his expectations. Who knows which one I can get to? He flipped his hand and brandished the fifth crystal. 6th. 7th. The 7th one succeeded as well. Luo Feng's face was covered in perspiration from the pain. But his eyes were gleaming excitedly. I actually succeeded in absorbing the 7th. Back then, it took countless years to produce an absolute genius like the blood god Bhe, and he only absorbed 8 crystals. My body genetics aren't exactly the strongest. Is it because I trained in the Nameless Manual that I'm able to go through this change? I'll try the 8th. Luo Feng took out another crystal. Absorb. Success. I've caught up with Bhe. He blinked his eyes. Let's try the 9th. He couldn't help but grow in excitement. He may truly become a Black Warrior. He easily withstood the killing intent from the 9th, as the energy poured into his body. His muscles and skin began to tear apart. His bones broke. After which the Blood River energy flowed back into the crystal. The absorption of the 9th crystal had failed. Absorbing the 8th is already beyond my expectations. I only have an Earthling's human body. The only special trait is being trained in the Nameless Manual. And it allowed me to reach the level of that absolute genius blood god Bhe. Luo Feng was shocked. The Nameless Manual was simply unbelievable. In truth, once one's genetics reached its limits, it was hard to evolve further. The first level of the Nameless Manual allowed him to raise his body strength 3 times. What level of gene evolution did it take to get such an effect? Absorbing 8 crystals have very little effect on my strength though. Luo Feng shook his head. Absorbing 3, 10, 100, these were their limits. After the 3rd crystal, one's melding with the universe energies would double. After the 10th, one would reach 3 times. And triggering the Blood River energy would cause one's cells to evolve temporarily and rise in strength. At 8 crystals however, compared to passing the 3 crystals from before, his strength had risen just a little more than before. He walked out of the room full of perspiration. He jumped into the pool barefoot and swam about casually at the bottom. He was already very satisfied with absorbing 8 crystals. Even though his strength didn't rise that much, it showed how powerful the Nameless Manual was. If I can get the 2nd level of the Nameless Manual, my body will once again go through a huge evolution. I may be able to absorb 10 crystals. Luo Feng shook his head helplessly. For such a heavenly manual, getting the 1st level alone was a huge miracle. How hard would it be to get the 2nd? The Earth body is at its limit. I'll let the golden horned beast try to absorb more crystals. Luo Feng lay on the rocks as the warm water flowed about him. Simultaneously, he began trying to let the beast absorb more Blood River crystals. He wasn't too anxious about letting the beast absorb more crystals. Mainly due to the fact that absorbing 100 crystals seemed to already be the maximum amount. Luo Feng could withstand the killing intent and power of the 101st crystal a long ago. However, the right claw was unable to absorb any more Blood River energy. The beast god howling picture formed from triggering the energy was already very perfect. The right claw had reached its limit. Then, he could only absorb the crystals with the rest of the body. However, no matter how strong his willpower was, to absorb another 100 crystals would at most make its other body parts as strong as the right claw. Even so, its entire body strength would double from before. And this is only after absorbing another 100. One had to know that each new crystal got harder and harder. Luo Feng didn't dare expect too much. 101st. 102nd. Within his internal world, the beast began its absorption. He picked the back portion this time mainly because this was the core of the body's strength, and the wings were on its back too. If it was strong enough, it would be easier to use the Showu wings and unleash its strength. The back just began to absorb crystals, the gene change is starting from 0, hence, the pain is very minimal. Luo Feng smiled as he lay in the river. Crystal after crystal. 110 th. 120. 130. The killing intent got stronger and stronger. However, Luo Feng was only a few hundred years old when he absorbed the first 100, and with a few thousand years passing since then, his long years of comprehension and connection to the universe source had trained his consciousness and willpower. It made his mental state strength much stronger than before. Even though he was only in the first level of mental state training, knowing oneself, his willpower was incredible. The higher level of mental state training may not necessarily be stronger than the lower levels. The second level of innocence compared to the first level was normally much stronger. However, Luo Feng constantly pushed the limits of the first level. His willpower back then was but a few hundred years old. 140 th. 150 th. 160 th. 162, 163, 164, 165. The 166th crystal has failed, my willpower cannot take it. Luo Feng revealed a smile. To absorb 165 crystals is already not bad. It gets harder towards the end, and my willpower has improved quite a bit over these few thousand years. Even though the beast had absorbed 65 crystals in its back. The entire strength of the beast had probably only risen by 10%. As the back strength was but a small portion of its entire strength, it couldn't compare to the right claw, hence the growth was limited. The fourth day Luo Feng stayed in the camp. Rumble. 3 silhouettes flew above the mountain ranges and quickly reached Luo Feng's private island. Haha, you are finally here. Luo Feng strode out. Sir, these are the goods you ordered. The 3 silhouettes were led by an undying. He respectfully handed a world ring. This world ring is complimentary. The ring flew straight at Luo Feng and floated before him. Luo Feng accepted it excitedly. After fighting for so long and thinking hard, he was simply just waiting for the goods. He had completely spent the 6.1 billion mixed elements. Giving a world ring worth 1 mixed element was normal for such a huge deal. We'll take our leave. Go on. Luo Feng waved his hand and entered his house excitedly. From start to end, the 3 workers from the Virtual Universe Company never set foot on his island. As this was a private island, the army had ruled that no one was allowed to set foot on it without Luo Feng's permission. They are finally here. I spent all of my 6.1 billion. Luo Feng sat in the chair beside and immediately used the Mosha body to check the goods. He had gotten 6.1 billion from Blackheart and Desire Emperor back then, immediately exchanging all of it for 6.1 billion points. Under normal circumstances, only after becoming undying would one be able to exchange mixed elements for points. However, after Luo Feng became the disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, his authority had risen higher than most emperors. Naturally, he had the right to exchange mixed elements for points. After getting 6.1 billion points, plus the 180 million he had from before, he began to splurge. Firstly, he bought 2 types of scanners. A large one that cost 2 billion points, only few emperors could afford something like that. And a small scanner that cost 1.8 billion, even though it could only scan an area of 20 km, its detail and level of scan was akin to the large scanners worth hundreds of billions. Meaning, with this small scanner, as long as a few powerful warriors discovered Luo Feng, even if his own large scanner couldn't detect them, his small one would. Secondly, he bought the best combination of items to nurture the Cloud Contact Vine to undying level, spending a total of 1.53 billion points. Naturally, even so, the chances of the Cloud Contact Vine becoming undying was still only 50%. Thirdly, he bought 1 Flame God Core Crystal, akin to a High Emperor's self-destruct. This was enough to kill even a high-level emperor or harm a pinnacle emperor, and he had spent 800 million points on this. Back then in Primal Chaos City when Luo Feng had 3 billion points, he had exchanged for Flame God crystals before. He had gotten 2 low-level emperor crystals, after spending 400 million points. The only thing was that he was never actually forced to use them yet. With the 3 of them together, he spent a total of 6.13 billion, leaving him with only 150 million points. He couldn't wait any longer. To make the Cloud Contact Vine reach undying, the evolution process would require quite some time. While returning I'll evolve it. I'll head out now, back to Yangji main continent. After bidding goodbye to the emperors he had been hanging out with, Luo Feng sat in his ship alone and left the 26th camp, heading back to the main continent. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.